Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 8th webinar. I'm Sulamita Chukdeng, and we are really happy to have you here once again. Before starting, I want to remember to follow us in our social networks such as WhatsApp, Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. So in this moment, it's important to remember some directions. Please type your questions in the comments section. The answers to your questions and the comments will be replied by our guest speaker at the end of the webinar in the question time section. During the live webinar, we will share a link for you to have access to the exit ticket, which will be available for 15 minutes. Now it's time to know our guest speaker for today. Please, Miss Mayra, could you introduce our speaker?
Yes, Miss. Yes, Miss. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I can't see the slide. Yes, okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I am Mayra Rios, and it's a pleasure to introduce our guest, Magister Glenda Gallardo. I'm going to talk a little about her. She is a highly experienced EFL teacher. She was worked with a wide variety of the students and levels from kids to adults. Currently, she works at Universidad Peruana de Ciencias Aplicadas, UPC. Glenda is the coordinator of the IELTT Peru Learner Autonomy Special Interest Group. She is also part of the TESOL Gulf Board of Directors, January 2021. And last but not least, she serves as the Global Education Professional Network Leader at TESOL International, March 2021 until now. And she is going to talk about effective speaking practices in remote and socially distanced. And she is going to answer the questions: how can we support our students in their speaking skill development while teaching remotely or socially distanced? In this webinar, we will present routines to sustain students' communication. And okay, Miss Glenda, the audience listens to you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, hello. Yes, I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to share some of the things I do in my classes. All right. Okay, let me see. Let me share my screen. Okay, so all right. So this is the title of my presentation. And well, this is the agenda. First of all, I have some do's and don'ts. Yes, and what I'm gonna share is all to be connected with planning a speaking task, right? So we're going to start answering some do's and don'ts about planning a speaking task, and then we're going to get some information about the speaking activities that can be done in a virtual environment. And then I'll share with you some online resources for you and for your learners. Okay, so please, in the chat box, yes, you're going to participate in your chat box. You need to tell me if this is a do or a don't. Yes, all the information that I will be sharing comes from this book, How to Teach Speaking. Yes, well, it's actually from 2 books, but most of it comes from Scott Thornberry's book, How to Teach Speaking. I'm sure you're very familiar with this author, very well-known ELT author. Yes, one of my favorites when it comes to do with teaching activities and today speaking basically. So do's and don'ts of a speaking activity. So in a virtual learning environment, yes, in a speaking lesson, is it a do? Yes, like we should do this, or is it a don't? You think that no, this is not advisable to do. So we have provide a model or example of the speaking task. What do you think? Is it a do or a don't? So please use the chat box if you are on Facebook, if you are through the YouTube channel, or I don't know how else you're interacting. Please, is it a do or a don't? Okay. All right, so this is a do, yes. So when we are doing a speaking activity, it's a very good thing to provide a model or an example of the task we want the students to do. Yes, it's not just like, okay, like make them jump into the pool and then not having given them an example or an idea of what they will be doing. So it's super important that we provide them with an example. Now, the second, do or don't. In a virtual learning speaking lesson, do or don't keep the students together as a whole class for the speaking task. Yes, is it a do or a don't? Should we do this or we shouldn't do this? Yes, we're talking about ERT, yes, now that we are working remotely. And, well, the answer is don't, yes. So don't keep the students together as a whole class. And now maybe sometimes it is a challenge, yes, because maybe you don't have the resources or a platform like this one where I am right now. If you are using Zoom, thumbs up, because at least with this platform, we can create breakout rooms, yes, and make students work in pairs or in groups. And that's very important. Yes, the speaking activities, they can't be just the interaction with the teacher or the teacher asking one student and that particular student answering. That is not speaking. So we need to give them the chance to work with their peers and work with their peers in, as I said, in different ways, right? The interaction could be in pairs, could be in groups of 3, or groups of 4. So it will depend on how many students you have, but the interaction definitely has to vary. Now, let's do the third, yes, third, do or don't. So please read it. What do you think? So should we give suggestions of words and phrases that the students can use in the speaking task? Should we or shouldn't we do this? And the answer is, ta-da, it's a do. Yes, so we should be providing students with suggestions of words and phrases that they can use in the speaking task. Yes, it's not enough just telling them, okay, student A, you are the waiter, student B, you are the customer. Okay, now start. You never, yes, never, never, ever should do that, okay? So we need to model, we need to offer examples, and we need to scaffold them, the activity. And we will be seeing some examples today, right? So yes, it's a do. Now, so look at this by Nolasco and Arthur. They say, although conversational competence can only come from fluency activities or natural language interaction outside the classroom, yes, that is the conversational competence, there is an argument for the use of controlled activities, which help students develop confidence, as well as the ability to participate in and maintain simple, commonly encountered conversations, right? And that is what we should try to do in our classes. Yes, we know that, I mean, sometimes when I was a student, I remember myself, I didn't have the chance to talk to a foreigner. I only had my class. So my class was my context, the interaction with my teacher, with my peers, yes? And that's why in our classroom, we should help the students develop this confidence. And how can we do that? Little by little, using controlled activities that resemble real life conversations, right? And that's why the importance of giving them the space to have the opportunity to practice and to gain confidence, because speaking has to do a lot with confidence. If we don't give them any chances to speak, how are they going to feel confident? How are they going to speak one day if they never had the time to do that, even in their own classrooms? Okay, so so it's very important, the job we do and the space we create in our lessons for speaking activities. Now, another do or don't. Please read it and write in your chat box, is it a do or a don't? And this is a don't, yes? And that's maybe that's something that we do when we are, I remember myself as a new teacher, yes, wanting my students to use the language. What is more, I told them, I want you to use this, 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 and this. And now, as I went on teaching, as I went on reading about the methodology of speaking activities, speaking lessons, speaking has to be natural. Of course, we can suggest through the activity the language that they need to use, but it doesn't have to be like this conversation is only restricted to these phrases, only restricted to this language. Of course, in a way, yes, teachers are very clever to put the situation, and that's our job, to find the context, to push them to use this language, right? Because that's what we do. We have to be very creative. How can I make them use this language? So if we create the context, then the language will appear, but we don't need to tell them this, and this. Yes, because that will be restricting, because they know more. And the idea is that they gain fluency, right? So, so we don't need to specify grammar or vocabulary in a speaking task. Very controversial, right? Maybe you are thinking, but how not? Okay, then I'll share some examples. Okay, now, a do or a don't. Have the students repeat the speaking task if time. What do you think? Yes, is it a do or a don't? And the answer is it's a do. Yes, yes, yes. Well, it will depend a lot on your time. Yes, but it is advisable that the students repeat the speaking task, and they also like to try again. I for example, I had a class last Wednesday, and I had a group of students. Miss, can we redo this? Sometimes it's because they are engaged and they see that they are doing it quite well, and they want to improve it. And I don't know if it has happened to you, but I have students that they start like gaining confidence, and they feel that they can improve what they did, and they want to do it. And when I have time, I say, please, yes, go ahead. Let's redo the conversation. I want to listen to you again one more time. Yes, and they do, because they as I said, they start feeling very self-confident about their skills, and they want to improve what they did. So it's actually a good thing to do. Especially if you have time, why not? And if they want to do that, why not giving them the space to repeat the conversation or the speaking activity they did? Yes. Now, another do or don't. Correct each error students make as they do the speaking task. Yes, what do you think? And the answer is a don't. Yes, don't correct each error the students make, because imagine they are in the middle of a speaking task and you interrupt them. Maybe their minds are going to go blank, and then they will get nervous and lose the sequence, the flow of ideas. So you do that later, right? Because what was the purpose of your speaking lesson? Is it a grammar lesson? Did you do the speaking because you want to work grammar? Or is the speaking activity done in order to help them speak? Yes. So that's what we have to make a very clear differentiation. It's different, yes. If the purpose of my activity is to check grammar, so it's not a speaking class, it's not a speaking opportunity, it's a grammar activity, right? So what do you want to do? Do you want a grammar activity for your students, or is it a time for speaking? Is it a time to gain fluency? So if my purpose is to gain fluency, I want to help them feel better about the things they say, how they say things. I can't interrupt them. I have to just let them go, let them connect their ideas, recycle vocabulary, and then later on, of course, now I find it when it's online is easier. Yes, because when I was face to face, I remember that I always wanted to take notes, but in front of them I felt a bit like awkward, because it's like they are speaking and I am passing with a piece of paper and a notebook, and they know I'm writing. Yes, so it's like I only had to have a very good memory to then give them feedback at the end. But now when it's online, it's easier, because we have the camera and I can be writing, and they don't see my notebook, they don't see a pen, they just see my face showing up when I visit their breakout room. So I find it easier, and I like it better when I can do this online, right? But we can't, again, I repeat, we can't correct every error they make. Yes, we want to make them feel confident about their ability, about what they are doing, and about what they can do. Yes, so that's a don't. Now, when we correct errors, yes, in speaking tasks, yes, immediate or delayed feedback. Yes, this is connected to what I was mentioning. The purpose of a speaking activity should be the fluency. Otherwise, it will be a grammar activity, or it would be something else, but not speaking, really. Because if we want them to develop their speaking skills, the correction should be delayed. Yes. And that's why when I was face to face, I always had to have a very good memory about the specific things that then I could write on the board and help them correct. Yes, and I had to like, okay, they said this one, maybe this one, because the most important, I can't correct every single thing they said. And it's just maybe because they were speaking quickly. Yes, and who knows the students better than the teachers? I mean, when we work with them on a regular basis, we know what are the typical mistakes they make. Yes, and I don't know, at least I can remember he always says this, so I always try to correct them a couple of times because I know they tend to make this mistake. I had a student, for example, that whenever he uses the modal verb can, he always tends to say I can to go, I can to play. And I had seen that the first time I said, okay, maybe it's just an error. It's because of fluency that he puts the can to speak, can to go. But then it happened again and a third time. And I said, no, I have to correct this because it's more than twice. So, and I gave my student a space. I wrote this on the board and I said, okay, can you see this sentence? And what could you change here? There is something that is wrong. And then a student, it's this. And this student was like aware of the mistake he was making. And I told him, yes, I have noticed that when you are speaking, you use this several times. So please, this is the first and perhaps the last time that I point this, but I'm telling you this because I want to help you remember that when we use can goes connected to the verb. Okay, so this is not necessary. So please monitor yourself, yes, when you use this, because it's your work also. It's your responsibility to, now that you are aware that you are making this, yes, to self-correct if you find yourself making the same sentences with this extra word, okay? And I say, oh yes, miss, I hadn't realized. And now my student is aware of this. And when he's speaking and he knows, it's like, oh, and he is gradually self-correcting this. Yes, so it's important to draw attention to that, but delayed feedback. Yes, not in the middle of the activity. When it's immediate feedback, yes, maybe immediate feedback, as I said, is because the purpose of the activity is different. If it's a grammar activity, if it's another activity, maybe it deserves immediate feedback, yes? But if they are working together, working in pairs, let them keep the conversation going, the activity going, yes? And it will depend. Now, here it's a video that I'm going to share in the chat box, and it's a video where Penny Orr, she talks about this. She talks about immediate and delayed feedback and why correcting or not correcting the students. Yes, and well, you know, Penny Orr is, well, she's so knowledgeable. And so in this video, you're going to see, well, as the title says, it's 30 activities, 30 tips that she gives us about teaching. But one of the things that she talks about is this, how to or when to correct students. And also Penny Orr, in her video, she also depends on the culture. Yes, Penny Orr has taught in China, in India. She has taught in so many countries. So in this link, in this video, she will tell you also that sometimes it's something which is cultural. For example, in China, and I have taught also Chinese students, they want to be corrected. Yes, so we can correct them. Yes, immediate feedback, it's okay. Also, if the students tell you that they want that, yes, and maybe it's something, as I said, is cultural, right? And they want to be corrected. So if they told you, teacher, I want to be corrected anytime I make a mistake, that's different because they are asking you. Usually that happens with adult learners. Personally, that's what happened to me. Yes, adult learners tell me, miss, if you hear me say something, please, can you correct me? Correct me. Okay, because you are asking. And of course, even though they have told me, correct me, I cannot be correcting every single thing, but the most important things, the most relevant, because they will also see the vocabulary. Sometimes the mistakes happen because they want to use words that are higher for the level they have. So that's maybe not important to correct this time, or they will see that in the next lesson. So what is really, really important, you have to see which are the important things to correct, okay? So Penny Orr talks about that, and talks about that also sometimes because of the culture, it's different, and some students do want to be corrected. Now, when we give feedback, yes, when we give feedback, we talk about positive and negative feedback, and also encouraging feedback, yes? So when we give our students feedback, we have to always highlight what was positive in their participation, yes? And well, here is a list of phrases that we can use to express this to them. And it's very good to encourage them. Yes, that's nice. And to have an eye and an ear, our 5 senses on how they are responding, how they are using the vocabulary, because some of them are very, I don't know, they are very, I don't know how to put it, but I'm very lucky because my students are always trying to give their 100%. So many of them try to recycle the vocabulary. So when I spot that they are like reusing something that even I said, they are also using it, I tell them, I have heard you use this word, and this phrase that we learned the other day. Yes, congratulations. Because that's also, it's a risk they take. They have seen the word, and then they feel like, okay, maybe I can incorporate this word in this conversation or in this comment. And when I see that they are using that language, I feel so happy, because it's like now the word is not only the teacher's word, it's theirs, and they got it, yes, and they made the word work for their context. So that's positive feedback could also come in that form, yes. So there are many ways to praise our students, many ways to praise them and let them know that they are doing a good job. And of course, we give the good feedback, but there is also something that needs to be improved. So what needs to be improved? And we can tell them, right? Okay, so this, until this part, this is okay, but what about this other part? So what is in need of improvement? Because they also need to know what wasn't good, what didn't work in this exercise. So they need to be told. Yes, if they are not told, then it's like, okay, why did I do this? I wasn't even given feedback for my participation. So we need to give them the positive, like a sandwich, they always say, right? The positive, maybe the negative, and again, more positive. Yes, and maybe making them feel that, yes, we are on track. Let's go on like that. You are doing well. And always using encouraging words so that they can keep on going, so that they feel that they are moving forward. And if there is something to correct, yes, tell them that there is something to correct, but also motivate them to go on, right? Okay, now, what speaking activities can we do in a virtual learning environment? Yes, now with ERT, there are so many things that we can do. And let me show you this one. That first of all, I want you to notice here. I will talk about breakout room activities. Yes, because that's how I use this a lot, right? Because as I said, the interaction has to be between the teacher and the students. But not only that, it has to be also between learner and learners. So breakout rooms are so useful for this. Now, I'm going to start with activities that can be done in breakout rooms with the teacher, and then I will tell you about activities that can be done outside the class without the teacher, okay? So this is in class. So let's look at some sample activities. And these are some. Well, this is one of the, perhaps the simplest, I would say. And here I have a pair work activity, yes. And my students have revised this vocabulary. We have been doing the present perfect, right? And here I have the pictures. Yeah, so I give them this and I give them, have you ever? And of course, this will be changed to a past participle, and that's a challenge. Yes, when I tell them to do this activity, I give them this, but I don't give them all the words already changed. And the idea is that they will remember that they need to change these verbs as they ask, right? Now, another important thing when we send them to work in pairs or in groups is that the instructions are very clear, right? So before we send them to breakout rooms, we need to give them examples, right? So who is going to be student A? So who is going to ask this? And you need to maybe write here A and B, yes? So student A, you're going to ask this, yes? And so this is connected to this, right? And here is how the question finishes. And as you can see, you can draw lines, you can underline, and make them have an example, yes, make them see how the question can be done, at least one, right? And so this is one of them, so pair work, and here is like the teacher is like providing the question. And now, apart from this one, when they finish the activity, they come back to the main room. And when they come back, it's a moment to share, yes, as it says here. So it's time to share. And depending on how many students you have, you can ask, I don't know, 3 or 4 students, yes, to share conclusions, right? If they were asking and answering questions about, in this case, this was one of my classes about embarrassing moments, yes? The present perfect was presented in the context of embarrassing moments. So when they had this, then the activity finished, everybody went back to the main room, and then they had to report, Miguel said, or this happened to Miguel, something similar that happened to both of us is, yes, or maybe both of them got lost. Or in conclusion, after listening to these experiences, now I never get on a train without reading the name of the station. Yes, so conclusions. So they can share something short about their conversation. Yes, so time to share. Now, so we have seen questions and answers. Yes, so the teacher proposes the questions. The students can also add their own question. Yes, sometimes when I do this activity, when I give the students the question and the pictures, I also ask them. Now we have been in this class, the topic was embarrassing moments. Okay, so apart from have you ever got lost, have you ever arrived late, what other question connected to embarrassing moments can you ask? Yes, so I leave a space. In this case, you can see that the last picture here is a click on reply to all. But in some classes, what I would do is to cover this, yes, and leave it empty, yes, or just put it in, I don't know, let's suppose, I don't put anything here, and I ask them to, now the last one is your question. Yes, what can you ask connected to this topic? Yes, so I leave an empty box so that they can come up with their own question, right? So you can also challenge them to ask an additional question connected to this topic, right? And Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to tell you about the questions and answers. And always encourage them, yes, to ask follow-up questions, right? And that's why it's important that you give them an example. If you have a delegate, a class delegate, do the activity with your delegate, and then in that example, ask other questions, yes, so they can see that they can go farther. They don't need just to ask, have you ever got lost and then finished? Teach them to be curious. And what happened? And where did you go? And how did you feel? So to ask and ask and ask. Yes, encourage them to do that. All right, so now, apart from this, another activity that we can do and that our learners can benefit from, it's activities where you use word banks. Yes, here is a word bank that I have made connected to my instruction. The topic of this speaking activity is my favorite food break, So sometimes this activity can be done in the middle of your class if you are teaching 2 hours. So 2 hours, so you can give them a break. Yes, so this is time for break. So get up, stretch, walk around, and get yourself something to eat. Yes, so this is the task during the break. Okay, so in your break, stretch, stand up, and get yourself something to eat. When you come back from the break, yes, tell us, what is it? Yes, or what it is, how often you eat it, and why you like it. So by giving them this break, yes, but a break with a task, it's also a way to give them a space to prepare, especially when the students are not very confident. If we tell them it's break time, yes, yay, break time, but it's break time with a purpose, yes. And if they feel that they are not very confident, so they can use this 10 minutes of break to prepare and to be ready to speak when they come back to the session, right? And in my word bank here, in this class, I have highlighted the words that I found my students couldn't pronounce, right? So they always forgot about biscuits, ham, lettuce. So I wrote them here just as a reminder, yes, because the topic is food. Yes, so just in case I put this. And as you can see, I also, when I do speaking, I mean, it's impossible to do speaking without teaching them pronunciation or without doing some pronunciation practice. I teach my students to read this, yes, and it's, well, if you feel confident about that, please go ahead and teach them, because also when they see an online dictionary, if it's an English dictionary, they will see this and then they will be aware, this is the pronunciation, these are the phonemics, yes, and now I know how to read them, yes. So here, for example, sweet, that's another word that I often tend to make mistakes with. So sweet, right? And I have phrases, just, this is a mini reminder of what they could use in their participation, right? So maybe they talk about this and maybe they mention this. So the word bank is there just to bring ideas to their heads so that they can be ready to speak. Okay, so this is one activity. Another activity for break. And so this activity is, well, I have called it describing. Yes, so they can describe pictures and scenes. Here it was about food. Yes, maybe they came back with, I don't know, a glass of orange juice, and they came back with a packet of biscuits, or they came back with a, I don't know, whatever they want to talk about. This could be for pictures. Yes, take a break, and my favorite city in Peru. So they can do this in the break, and then they come back and they come back with a picture that they have to show you. Yes, it could be pictures, it could be realia, yes, the real fruit, the real thing, I don't know, and they have to describe it. Yes, they could describe the clothes they are wearing, their favorite object. There are so many things that we can do, and with this title of it's break time, what is your favorite something? Yes, okay. Now here is another activity that I'm sure you do a lot, and I have taken this from the book, and of course you can create your own activities. So again, this is a pair work activity, and here I have a student A is an assistant in an electronics shop. Yes, and student B is a customer. Ask and answer questions about the items below. And I have a MP3 player, memory stick, digital camera, mobile phone, laptop. Yes, so we have an example of how to begin. Can you tell me about this laptop? Letter B, yes, sure, it's versatile. It can do lots of different things. So the very common role play. Yes, that's another, I'm sure you use this speaking activity. You are the waiter, you are the customer, you are the assistant, you are the customer, right? So very common. And of course, whenever you plan an activity, don't forget to mention how much time they have for the activity. Is it gonna last 10 minutes? How much time do they have? Yes, so check the time. Now, have you ever used word banks or language banks to accompany the speaking activities? Yes. In this one, I had a word bank. So you have like words or phrases. Yes, have you? Okay, so I bet you have. Also, this is very common to see these word banks in books, and also the language banks are also very useful, right? The language banks are very similar to the word banks. The only difference is that you're going to say grammar, right? Grammar, maybe the beginning of a question. Do you have, and then that. Have you ever that? So, but in my language bank, yes. So I provide them with a language that they might use in the activity. So that's a language bank. Yes. Now, what sort of language will you include in these banks? It will depend on what you are teaching. If my activity it's about past simple, my word bank is going to include questions such as, did you? Short answers, yes, I did, no, I didn't. Oh, yes, we did, no, we didn't. Yes, so depending on the topic. Now, how many words, how many phrases would you include? Word banks are small, right? Language banks the same. I can't put a word bank of 20 words. No. A word bank or a language bank of, I don't know, 10 questions, too many. Yes, just they need to have that as a reminder of what they need to use. So I can't put all the questions. If all the questions are there, so what's the purpose of the activity if it's already there? The idea is that they have like the beginning, so as a reminder of what comes next. And hopefully they will be able to connect what they did before to this speaking task. So this kind of work is connected to scaffolding. Yes, scaffolding the tasks. Yes, so it's not about just like do this and they don't have any indication, they don't have any reminder of what they could use. So scaffolding, very important in speaking activities. So we have seen the Q&A, yes, the questions and answers that the teacher proposes. And the second one was about the breaks, yes, and that breaks with a purpose. Describe your favorite object, describe your favorite food, describe a picture, describe the clothes you're wearing, yes. And you can do this, describing at different times, yes, because maybe you are teaching, I don't know, a second grade of secondary, and the class was not about objects, it was not about clothes, but you can challenge them because they did it last month, they did it last year, so they should know this in theory. So you can present the topic in the 5th grade of secondary, it doesn't matter. But the idea is that this is a break, and it's a break, but a break with a purpose. Yes, and the purpose of describing something that they have already seen. Yes, I think that's better if they already know, because it's like I am again recycling, redoing refreshing what I have seen in a previous class. And also I told you about the role plays, yes, the shop assistant and the customer. There are many role plays, the mother and the son, a celebrity and an interviewer, a waiter and a customer, a secretary and a customer, and as I showed you, the shop assistant and a customer at an electronics shop. Yes, and of course, you can also plan, depending on the level, you can plan debates with your students. Yes, what is better, to teach online or face-to-face? Yes, so debate. The other day I was having a debate with my students about if it was a good idea to turn on the webcams, yes, or not. Yes, it was so interesting to learn what they thought. Yes, so why turning the webcam on, or why not turning it on? Yes, so you can suggest the topic. CAM is about a conventional medicine or a standard medical care. So what is much better? Yes, the standard medical care or the other one, which is the non-conventional, the CAM. And well, you can suggest the topics. Yes, there are so many things they can discuss these days. And what else? What else can they do? What else can our students do? So as I said, they can work in pairs, they can work, there are many different ways to interact. And apart from the class, yes, the moment they have with you, yes, and you monitoring what they do, you monitoring and giving them feedback, they also can do activities outside the class. And by this, I mean homework. Yes, so what kind of homework can they do outside the class? And well, when it's outside the class, normally the activities could be in groups, or the activities could be on their own. Yes, depending on how many students you teach, right? Sometimes if the group is small, a video on their own is easy to watch. But the larger the group, the more work for us, right? So maybe it's much better to organize them in groups. So what can they do? Well, it will depend on you. And here comes a reminder, and this is something that I took from Scott Thornbury again. Yes, all this is based on his book. So he talks about the criteria for speaking activities. And now I have put this after homework, because when it's outside class, there are no many time restrictions. So here is where they can really take advantage and apply many tools. And according to the criteria for speaking activities, Scott Thornbury talks about that when we teachers design an activity, we have to consider that our activity has these six things. Yes, the productivity, the purposefulness, interactivity, challenge, safety, and authenticity. Yes, and Thornbury talks about when he says productivity. So now they are going to, so what is, we have to be very clear with the students. What do we want them to do? Do we want them to make a video? Is it a video? So we need to be clear on that. Or do we want to record their voices? Yes. So what do we want them to do? Because maybe if I want them to make a video, I want to see gestures, facial expressions. I want to check that they are actually speaking and not reading. And maybe if I just make them record their voices, the aim of the activity is because it's to check pronunciation, intonation, right? So what will be the outcome of this? Yes, a video, an audio, what? So this is connected to the next thing, the purposefulness. When we design activities, we have to give them a purpose, right? It's not just like, okay, these are the questions. Now you are A, you are B. Why are they asking those questions? Just because the teacher said, ask and answer? Is that the purpose, to please the teacher? Yes, what is the purpose of this? So when we create the activities, we have to try to make the activity, we have to connect it to a real situation. Yes, so what is the purpose? Here in this activity, I want them to practice a conversation, because one day they will go to a shop, they will travel abroad, and they will talk to a shop assistant. So they need how to talk to shop assistants. So I want them to practice the functions, the language that they will need when they go shopping electronics, or when they go shopping for clothes. Yes, so what is the purpose? Yes, so we need to create activities that have a purpose. Yes, and the activities that we also design, we have to bear in mind the interactivity. Is this activity to be done in pairs, in groups of 3, individually? Yes, how is this going to be? So we have to consider the pattern of interaction. And also Scott Thornberry talks about challenge. Yes, and sometimes we design activity and maybe we need to push our students a little more to go the extra mile, and give them maybe let's see, I mean, you just design activity with a purpose, and let's see what else they can do. Yes, sometimes it's like we think, no, but this is going to be difficult, but they are creative. They are very creative. Yes, for example, the other day, I have, well, my students right now at university, in one of my workplaces, they are in the midterm exams week. Yes, and the fourth part of the test of the midterm is a speaking activity, and they do that, of course, outside the class. And the speaking activity they have to do, it's an interview. Yes, so they will interview a celebrity, but somebody that has made a contribution to the world. Yes, so, and in this interview, yes, it's a formal interview, and that's a challenge for my students, because it's not an ordinary interview like, what's your name, where are you from, or why did you write this book, or when did you start liking this or that. No, the challenge to my students is that this is a formal interview. And now, why do I again repeat formal? Because, yes, I didn't tell my students, but we have been working on indirect questions, right? They have been doing questions like, can you tell me where the post office is? And that was a challenge for them. Yes, because they were always, they wanted to copy paste. Can you tell me where is the post office? And we have been playing, can you tell me where the post office is? I wonder if the shop closes at 5. So they have been practicing this language. And that's why I wanted to challenge them. And now this interview they have to make, it's a formal interview. So let's see, they have to send me their videos until tomorrow. So let's see what they produce. My students are very creative. These students are creative. All of us are creative. And it doesn't say that, but I'm sure they will remember, because we have been doing this indirect questions in the semester. And they have been practicing these questions, and I have been telling them, because I was like, I already knew what the speaking activity was. And I have been telling them, when the conversation is formal, when you want to be careful with the speakers, only in those cases you use these questions, right? So now that is a challenge to prepare a formal interview. Yes, so we need to push them a little bit, and I don't know how will they do it, but let's see what they come up with, and hopefully they will be including at least a couple of these formal questions. And now the next thing that Scott Thornbury talks about is safety. Yes, and now safety, how is that? And well, safety, he talks about the fact that when we send them to do their work, yes, or the homework they have to do, if possible, yes, we need to guarantee where they are going to do it. Yes, and I don't know, I am very lucky because at work I have a platform where I can create the breakout rooms. In that, I mean, it's there, it's in the same platform. Yes, and they don't need to record the videos in another platform. Yes, and this is connected to that. And now, what do I mean by this? Because sometimes, I mean, they are underage and they go and they make a video in YouTube. And then this YouTube video, if they don't know where to put this or where to click so that the video is not seen by other people, maybe strangers can see their videos and they can be exposed, right? So where are we sending them to make the videos? Yes, fortunately, as I said, I have this platform where I create the groups and I make them record their videos there. So the videos are only for the people in my class. Nobody else sees the videos. Nobody else can. So that's one thing. So I'm protecting their safety. And safety also, if they don't have this, maybe they can make their videos and then share them through Google Drive. Yes, that's another way to protect them. So, because we cannot tell them, okay, everybody has to or must open a YouTube channel and you're going to upload your video on YouTube. Now we have a Google Drive, so they can do that there. And well, you have to remind them that they need to give you the permission to watch the video. So in this way, we are also working on safety. Yes, in this case, I'm adapting what Thornbury said, because Thornbury talks about a face-to-face context, but now I'm connecting it to our context where we are teaching online. So that will be connected to safety. And also safety, it's connected to the fact that our learners need to know where they are walking. We cannot just send them to do the activity and not give them criteria for the evaluation. Yes, so safety also helps me make my students feel relaxed about their work. Yes, and by this, for example, when we do the speaking activities, my students have the rubrics. Yes, and they know they will be evaluated on this, on this, on this, on this. And it's not just that, okay, here is your 20, but 20 for what? You have 0, 0, 8. Why? So I need to make them feel that they know where they are walking. Yes, so they can have a checklist. Okay, I did this, the activity covers this topic, it has this thing as well. So they know where or why or what they are doing. And it's not just like, okay, let's see what happens, and the teacher, what does the teacher say, fingers crossed that it's okay. So no, we have to make them know what the criteria is. So that is also, that applies to safety. And all this connected, of course, to the authenticity. Yes, authenticity of the activity. So is this activity that I am creating useful in their lives? Will it be useful one day? Yes, when they are faced with this opportunity to speak in English abroad, yes, or with a foreigner. So we have to also make sure that this helps them, right? So in the real life in the future. Yes, so that is the criteria. Then, so as I was mentioning before, we have to give them a good reason to speak. Yes, and this is that's why the purposefulness is so important. So the activity that we design needs to have a communicative goal. Yes, and we have to allow them to use their current level of English, but also stretch them to achieve the outcome. Yes, in this case, the example I gave you about the outcome of my students' speaking activity is the formal interview. Yes, so I have like pushed them, okay, how are you going to ask, what are you going to ask, so that it's a formal interview, right? So, and we need to give them time. That's also connected to the safety. They need to know you are gonna have a week to do this. Yes, I cannot tell them now for tomorrow. That is not real. Yes, they need to, I mean, if it's homework, they need to coordinate, they need to know who is their partner. And also when I do this, I have a document in Google, and in Google I have a table, and I share the link, and I also send it to my delegate, and then they register, who do you want to work with? Yes, and I see that the document is filled in, and if I see that there is an empty box, an empty pair, then I take action. Okay, you and you, and maybe I myself have to pair students, because sometimes they are very shy, or sometimes they don't know or remember they had to do this. So if I don't have this drive with the table, then I said homework, and I didn't even check if they knew if they had a partner. So before the activity is complete, or the second day, immediately you have to check if everybody has a pair, or if everybody is in a group, and if they are not, you have to create a group. You have to make them move, because sometimes they are like a bit slow for this. No, today everybody in my class is gonna live with a partner or in a group. Yes, and you have to guarantee that. And then, okay, now the first step has been taken. Yes, so and then they have the time. But if you are not checking that, then you think they have a pair, a partner, and maybe they don't, and then maybe they are not going to have enough time. So you need to make sure that they have plenty of time, and that's why helping them have this organization is key. Yes, and then we are all happy that everybody has a partner. Okay, yes, all right. So you have the time to organize and submit the video or the link to the video. And also, when we do these activities, this is connected to the 4 C's, yes, of the 21st century skills that you must be very familiar with. Yes, critical thinking. Yes, this kind of activities, the speaking activities, yes, provide the students with chances to find solutions to problems. Yes, it's a time to work on their creativity. Yes, they have to think outside the box. Now my students, they have to have a formal interview. Now, who with? What am I going to ask? Yes, am I going to change clothes so that I look like the character? Yes, or how am I going to present this? When am I going to meet? I need to collaborate with my partner. So they will be working with others, and that is real, because I mean, when they are faced with, I mean, reality, when they go to university, they go to work, they are not going to be working on their own or only with the boss. They will be working with other people. So they need to learn to collaborate. They need to learn to communicate. And that's why I do the speaking activity, because I want to provide them with communication time to convey ideas. How do I say this? How do we agree? Yes, so they are working on the 4 C's, definitely. Yes, so it's so rich, so important that we do this kind of tasks. And well, here is another example of a speaking activity. And we have the context. Yes, imagine it's the end of the semester, or maybe you in the school, it's the end of the school year. Work in pairs, work in groups, and decide how to spend your budget in a meal for your class. Yes, and well, you give them a budget. You have 1,000 soles. Yes, now you have to coordinate how to spend the budget. So they have to plan a meal for the class, and in the video they have to tell you what they have planned. Yes, so you give them this, and again, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, they are natural because we have set the context, and this will come up. It's part of the activity. They won't be able to do it without collaboration, communication, and all the other 2 skills, right? So, and then they make their video. Yes, make your video sharing your plan. Okay, and this is another example of an activity outside the class. And also, these kind of activities are connected to Bloom's taxonomy, right? Because the lowest here is remembering, and sometimes the students just like, I don't know, they complete an activity and we check vocabulary, or we ask only one question and they click an answer, but that is very basic. We need to move them higher in the pyramid. Yes, so they have to go to the higher levels, and this is where the learning happens. Yes, when they can analyze, they can evaluate, they can create. Yes, the creation is the best moment. Level number 6, when they produce something new with their language without the teacher's help, that's the best. Awesome. Yes, awesome, awesome, awesome. I really enjoy watching my students' videos. I mean, when they come up with so many good things, and it's like, wow, I can tell this is memorable for my students. They have learned. Yes, I can tell. So here I have some platforms that, well, we can use for remembering. There are many. Yes, for remembering we have, well, there are lots really. And here there are not, maybe you're not familiar with these ones, but for remembering we have Genially, maybe word wall. Yes, that is like, choose the vocabulary, choose this. For understanding, there are, I mean, many you can create. Google Forms have lots of ways to apply this, and this is also connected to Google. Again, Google has many, Jamboard and slides. Yes, and as this goes higher, it will depend on them. Yes, when they are creating, and they are creating on their own, yes, without a teacher's help. I never told my students now work in pairs and make a video on Zoom. Later, when I check their videos, I learned also about other apps and other software, because they used other software that I didn't know. They used other apps to create their slides or the pictures they were going to share. So they know. I leave them, I leave the floor open to many possibilities, right? So it's very good that we do these speaking activities. Now, the evolution of Bloom's taxonomy and how it applies to teachers today. Here is a very useful text that you can read if you want to learn a little bit more about Bloom and how you can use this in your classes. But let me share the link. Okay, 1 second. This is a website. Okay, I'll put this in the chat box. Okay, here's a second link. So where you can read more about Bloom taxonomy and how you can apply it in your classes. All right, and then, okay, let me go on. So here is another activity, yes, that you can use. Where is my Zoom toolbox? 1 second. Okay, here it is. All right, so I have here around my city. Yes, imagine that a group of tourists is coming to your city. Work in pairs, in groups, design a 3-day tour for them. make a video sharing your tour. Yes, so visiting your city, visiting Ayacucho, visiting Lima, visiting, and well, the planning of the day, what to do in the morning, the afternoon. So creativity, again, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, communication. Yes, and here is another example of an activity, a movie I could see again and again. The activities will depend on your student's level, right? It depends on the level. So for instance, in this one, I have my context. ABC radio station is running the event, the top 10 movies of all time. In groups, choose a movie you really like. Make a video telling us all about it. Consider these details: the title, the setting, the actors, the roles, the plot, why you like it. As you can see, I haven't told them use this vocabulary, use this grammar. Yes, I haven't told them, but the activity itself is pushing them to use the language, because if I made this, if I left this for homework, it's because I want them to recycle all the things we were doing. And in this unit, my students were talking about movies, vocabulary for the entertainment. So here I want to recycle all that, but I am not telling them use this. I just tell them this is a task. The language will come up naturally because of the context I have given them, right? And well, JOMO. JOMO and FOMO. Oh my God, last year I had FOMO. Now this is JOMO. JOMO is the joy of missing out. Yes, we have here a digital competency that helps people to be more intentional in their use of technology by carefully selecting online activities that support their goals and values while joyfully missing out of everything else. So fully concentrated. Yes, Sofia Mavridi, it's an awesome author, and she knows a lot about teaching online and pedagogy. Yes, and she has her webpage also called Digital Pedagogy, and she once said this at a workshop that yes, nowadays it's like, who doesn't have a mobile phone? And well, most of us are so into technology, and we have had to learn. If we didn't know, now I'm sure that most of us understand technology better. Yes, but sometimes this is it's like too much, right? There are, as teachers, we have to be very careful, because nowadays there are so many apps, so many softwares, so much, so many things to do, so many things to explore, that we sometimes want to use everything. But we have to be very careful, because it's not, I don't want you to have JOMO. Yes, JOMO, the fear of missing out. Yes, it's like, I saw that Glenda used this, now I want to use this, and I saw this other teacher use that, and I want to use that one, and that one, and that one, and I don't want to miss anything. I want to use everything. Yes, and I want to be here and there and there. That is stressful. Yes, that is stressful. It's too much. So you have to go little by little, right? So if you are using technology, be careful and select what you really, really need. Yes, you don't need to be everywhere, and it's not like you are going to miss out. Yes, if you didn't come to this session, you can rewatch this later, or you can learn it. You don't need to. It's like sometimes, maybe if we are talking about food, today, Saturday, I want to eat something. I don't want to eat all the dishes in the world in one day. Yes, because I fear that I won't have the food tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. No. So little by little. Yes, people who have a JOMO, they want to they want everything, because they have the fear of missing out on everything else. But no, go little by little. If you are teaching tools to your students, maybe make them work on that tool, on that app 4 or 5 times before changing to another thing. Yes, and I am mentioning this because there are so many things that is overwhelming, and it's like sometimes you want to do this and that, but it's impossible. So we need to be careful, and also when it comes to the activities, yes, what do we want to do here? Or I want them to use this app. Okay, so let's work with this one only, but not you have this, okay, presenting them with 20, 50, too much. Yes, we have to narrow it to our students' level, narrow it to their understanding. Okay, so and they will catch up with other tools later. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we can't do everything in one class in 1 week. No, yes, too much. Now, when they do their homework, it's super important that they get feedback. Yes, feedback after the homework. And as I mentioned earlier, a very useful tool for feedback are the rubrics. Yes, so this is part of the rubrics that I use for my groups. Yes, so for assessing video production presentations. So I have like 4 levels. Yes, and we have needs help, in progress, meet expectations, exceeds expectations. So my students know this. Yes, they know this beforehand. When the instruction is given, they are also given this. So it's not like I didn't know I had to do this. I didn't know this was going to be considered as my grade. So they know what they have to do. Yes, and that also gives them this safety that Scott Thornbury talks about. And remember, feedback has to be SMART. Now, what is SMART? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Yes, and well, here I put this in Spanish so that we remember. So it's specific. When I give them feedback, that's why the rubrics are very helpful, because I'm telling you, this is, I don't know, 4 points for pronunciation and intonation because of this, and this. Yes. Or it's 5 is because of this, because of this, because of this, and because of this. So it has to be specific. And that's why rubrics are very helpful for that. It has to be measurable. And that's why the rubrics also have these numbers. Yes, it's 5 points. This is out of 20. It's each part is out of how many points are they giving for what? Attainable, right? So if we design an activity, of course, the activity has to be something that students can do. I'm not gonna leave this homework to my basic 1 learners or to people who had never, ever talked about movies. They had never talked about vocabulary. No, the vocabulary connected to entertainment. So no. It has to be something that they can do. The homework is not for, I mean, to see that my students cannot do it. The homework is to see that they can do it. I want to give them something that they can do, but they can do outside class. They can do without me. They can do and expand what they saw with me. Yes, the homework is for them to shine. I want them to shine bright like a star. Yes, show me all you have learned in this unit. Yes, I want to see you doing, because I know you can do it. We have seen this. So you have been giving them little by little the grammar, the vocabulary, the ideas. So now you can send them, okay, jump into the pool. Yes, I know you can achieve it. This is attainable. Yes, because you will be able to do it. You are not jumping into a swimming pool without a safety, what is it called? A lifeguard. Yes, no, here is your lifeguard. We have already been doing things. So you have taken steps, and now is the moment to jump in. Yes, and of course, the feedback has to be relevant. Yes, apart from the rubrics, of course, it's very useful to give them a comment. Yes, a general comment Yes, yeah, I'm not just like, okay, here are the rubrics and tick here, tick there, and that's it, 20. No, it's also very good that we tell them something, a short comment, yes, and relevant to the participation, because sometimes the rubrics are like very fixed ideas, but we can also give them, okay, I'm very happy that you also use this vocabulary, something that you liked, and maybe encouraging them if it was not very good. So something that really helps them, because if I give feedback, with my feedback, I want to help. I don't want to diminish my students' self-esteem, or I don't want them to feel bad or hate making videos. I want them to feel confident. I want to show them that they can do it, and they can do it better, right? So it has to be a relevant comment. And last but not least, it has to be time bound. If my students are making the video and they have to make the video until Sunday, I have to give them feedback the sooner the better. Yes, I can't wait 2 weeks and then the feedback appears. They lose interest. Yes, if you give them feedback, it has to be the earliest you can, right? And that is going to also motivate them to make a next video, because if they see that they made a video and it's 3 weeks and no news, and you don't even make a comment or let them know what is happening, how can I feel motivated to make a next video if nobody comments on what I have made? There is no indication that you are watching the videos, because it is a challenge. I mean, when all my groups are now have midterm, I have to watch many videos, and it's time consuming. But I also tell them, if sometimes I can't do it in one day, I tell them, okay, I have watched this, I am in this part. If you haven't got your feedback, don't worry, I will continue watching tomorrow. You will have them for Friday, yes? Or don't tell them when, if you are not sure that you are not going to have this ready for a date, yes? So don't promise what you can't do, yes? So be honest. I'm not going to watch the video today. I'm going to watch it in a week, and you will get the result in a week. Yes, but they need to be informed. Yes, I think that's a very good thing to do, to show them to be respectful as well. And here I have another link by Heikki Kruseman, where she talks about that, the importance of engagement. If you give them feedback quickly, they will be engaged. And if they make these videos, again, they gain confidence. And here in this webinar, this author talks about the importance of doing this in our classes, right? So let me share the link. It's a YouTube video where you can watch more tips and what she does, and she talks about this SMART feedback. Yes, I got the name from her, and I said, yes, this is what I do, but I had never thought about calling it SMART. Now I say, yes, so my feedback is SMART, and it's thanks to her. She has, I don't know if that is in a book, but well, the first time I heard that, it was because of this author that talked about SMART feedback. Okay, then now I'm coming to a close. I mean, I'm about to end. So some tips here. So mind your students' level and interest. Yes, teachers know this, and if we don't know, we have to find out. Yes, because when we send them to do a speaking activity, we need to know to consider the level and consider their interests. They are young people, they are adults. So what are they talking about? Yes, anticipate problems. Organize the students. If they are going to do activities in pairs, in groups, help them organize themselves. If sometimes some of them don't, so give them a hand. Yes, first let them do their work, but if you see that some of them are falling behind, you take action. Yes, and also very important, ask CCQs to clarify what they have to do. Yes, And yes, are you familiar with concept checking questions? I was gonna share a video, but I don't think it will be wise to share it right now because of time constraints. But let me see, I will share the link where this author talks about TCQs, the concept checking questions. And she will give you examples, yes, examples of how to apply this in your classes. Yes. Okay, let me see. Okay, one second. I don't know, I have rewind. Okay, videos. Okay, I have, so if you saw all the pages I have open. It's amazing. Okay, but anyway, teachers have to be very resourceful, right? I think we're very good at that. Okay, give me a second. I have, without wanting, closed the video link I had. 1 second. Okay, so the CCQs, the very famous CCQs. Okay. CCQs. Yes, let me see. CCQs. Okay, let me see my historial. My history. Okay, I will share the link in a moment. Let me see. It's my dear web page is loading and it's taking a bit, but I will show you. Okay, so the CCQs, very, very important. And now, what else? Another tip. Okay, let me open my presentation. 1 second. My background music, my voice. Okay. Yes. Oh, yes, I found the video. Okay, let me see. Okay. I want to minimize, open, enlarge. Okay. Okay, here is the link for the CCQs. Yes, with Yoka Konga. Yoka Konga is awesome. An awesome teacher and trainer. Okay, and one of my favorite. And now she has an Instagram as well. That's awesome. Okay, so the CCQs. So that's the link for the CCQs to clarify what they have to do. Another tip when we do speaking activities and in general, when these are very important things to do, not only for speaking, but for other tasks. Provide your students with word banks, with language banks. Yes, so give them this. Show them how the activity can look like. If you have a video of a previous group, you can show them this is how you can do the task, right? Look how they are interacting. Or maybe the opposite is a video that a piece of homework that was incorrect. So look, what would you correct? What would you change here? So show them how the activity can look like, yes, so that they have an idea of what they are going to do. Give them balanced feedback, yes, with positive, yes, and also the negative, yes, or as I say here, what is in need of improvement, yes, like a sandwich, the positive, the thing that is in need of improvement, and perhaps again a positive idea to like to put the last slide of the sandwich, the slice, to have a sandwich of feedback. And last but not least, encourage them to ask you to share with them websites, apps, or softwares to help them work on their pronunciation and intonation. And that's what I want to show you now. Yes. So we need to encourage them. And this is very important. I am very interested in that, in making them be autonomous learners. Yes. So it's very good to share with them. Look, this is a very good dictionary that you can use. This is a very good app. yes, so that they can have resources as well. And then, or you can give the space in the class, because sometimes you don't know, but they do. So you can ask them, and how can I do this? And how did you do that? And they can have a space to share. Maybe they have a favorite app to work in pairs, or they are using an app to learn something. So they can also be given a moment in the class to share what works for them with their peers. Yes. So now these are online resources for you and for your learners. Yes. Again, in order to develop their autonomy, because they need to also develop their autonomy. It's not, they won't be there. I mean, we won't be there with them all the time. So they need to also have resources. Yes. So many students are tech comfy, that is adept at using new technologies for social and entertainment purposes, but they need guidance on becoming tech savvy. Yes, and that is skilled in using the same technologies for academic purposes. Yes, because they are very comfortable using mobile phones, playing computer games, but maybe they don't know the how an app can be used for their benefit to help them learn a language. Yes, so we need to also teach them. Yes, they need guidance sometimes on becoming tech savvy. Yes, how to find reliable resources, good resources, because nowadays there is everything. And we need to curate the things. We cannot, okay, here's a link, and we haven't even watched what that is about. We need to watch it, and then we can recommend that. Yes, but we cannot just like, okay, here's activity, and maybe there are mistakes, because I have seen many things also with mistakes. So we need to check what we share, and we need to teach them how to recognize which are reliable websites. Yes, so how they can use technology in their favor. Yes, and they need to be able to view these technologies with a critical eye. It's not that because it's online, it doesn't mean that it's good. Yes, not everything it's that good. And well, this is by Pengrom when he talked about mobile learning. So now, as I mentioned, sometimes activities that we can do are connected to making videos, but maybe you can also, for a change, ask them to record their voices. I don't know if you have used this one. I use Vocaroo, but lately, I don't know, I have changed to SpeakPipe. Yes, SpeakPipe is very easy. Yes, and I like it. I don't know if it's my laptop or what, but the quality of the audio is really good in SpeakPipe. So I have been using this lately, and not only for my students, but also myself. Yes, when I want to give them feedback, yes, I record my feedback. So just for a change, yes, instead of writing the feedback for all the class, I send a video, sorry, an audio, sometimes a video as well. Yes, and I tell them a general comment as a group. Yes, so I give them feedback, and again they listen to me. And it's not only reading. So this is SpeakPipe, yes, and it's a free tool, and it's very easy to use. Then you will see the link. So I have SpeakPipe, yes. So well, I'm sure you have heard of Vocaroo. So this is another one. So SpeakPipe. Now the other one I wanted to share, it's okay. So this is for you and for your students, as I said. When we teach speaking, we also have to model pronunciation, right? And here in this web page, we have Ship or Sheep. Yes, shepherdship.com. You're going to find examples, well, depending on the level, right? If they are higher levels, you can teach them to identify and distinguish, because they need to train their ears, right? They need to train their ears, and that takes practice. Takes practice and takes awareness. But if nobody tells them about this, then they will never know. Yes, so we need to to teach them these things. Okay, so here in the chat box is the link. Yes, and there you are going to find, and you see all the words, the vowels, and they can check this on their own. Yes, and here you have, look, I clicked on an option, and you have the, okay, my Flash player, I'm sorry, it's my computer, I changed things a couple of days ago, but they can click and listen to the pronunciation and practice the differences, yes, of these words. Okay, then another thing that they can also use, and you can also use, it's this web page, how to pronounce, yes, how to pronounce, and this is for pronunciation at word level, right? In the previous one, we had activities, but this was for minimal pairs, yes, only the vowels, the diphthongs, but this is for words, yes, how to pronounce. And the good thing about this page is that you have, okay, you have the word, you have the definition, the IPA pronunciation, yes, and you can also record your voice. You have to explore it. Yes, you can record your voice and listen to your pronunciation. Yes, am I saying it like this one? Is it similar? It's different? Yes, so it's howtopronounce.com. All right, so that's another one for both, for you and for your learners. Yes, you can also use that. So howtopronounce.com. Yes. Okay, let me share the link also in the chat box. So you have another link here for pronunciation and another tool. Yes, another tool. Okay, so this is this one. And then we have here to correct pronunciation, practice in context. Yes, if it's in context, English. Yes, I love English. And well, this is also for students when, well, higher levels, because here English has a lot of resources. They take videos from television, so it's real English from television, from TEDx talks, many sources. And your students can, you type the word you want, and they are going to send you many examples of that word in context. So you're going to listen not only to American pronunciation, British pronunciation, Australian pronunciation, and they have, your students will have like a clear idea of how a word is pronounced. Yes, let me see. English. Yes, here, English. Okay, let me see. This is my English.
The art of Mantegna.
Yes, so you
I
go
really
here.
like looking at old
Let me
churches.
put
I
the
really
link
like
in the
turning
chat box.
the pages of the Old Testament, whatever it may be. You know the kind of thing I'm talking
Okay,
about.
in
People
English,
who are
you type
attracted
the
to the
word that you
ritualistic
want.
side,
Yes,
the
I don't
moralistic,
know, let's
communal
suppose,
side of religion,
borrow.
but can't bear the
I go
doctrine.
borrow, and then I will have lots of examples of borrow.
I'm going to borrow from the great imaginative thinkers who might better pertain to you to back up what I've said.
Yes, and I
For the
can
architect
change to another example.
Might say your agenda could borrow from, which is this sense that's actually.
And another
Her
example.
father went to a neighbor to borrow $2,500.
Class, working, and poor families don't have to borrow money to go to college, but I don't want to add the cost of subsidizing me or subsidizing Donald.
I was so broke, I had to borrow $4,000 from my dad to pay my bills.
Yes, so here they have a lot of examples with real English in real contexts, because this has been taken from, as I said, TED Talks, conferences, TV programs. So they are going to say lots of examples in context. Okay, and that's also useful for you when you want to check maybe how to say a word you didn't know, so you can go to English and check that. Apart from English, you can also work on this. I'm sure you are familiar with this live worksheets. Live worksheets also has activities for pronunciation, believe it or not. Yes, I use it, for example, when I teach past simple. Yes, when I teach past simple, I always use this web page because there are many examples. Yes, you just put the words. I always teach the regular verbs pronunciation. Yes, past simple. Let me see, past simple pronunciation. So I find my exercise and look, they can work on pronunciation.
Walked.
And they have to choose walked. So, and then they get instant feedback.
Visited.
Yes, visited. I teach them. Yes, I teach my students these things, and so they can recognize this, and then they have to do this activity. They click on terminado, and they can check their answers if the exercise was left for homework, so they can check their answers, and they can see if they got 2 points, 3 points, or what I always do is I ask them to send it to me. Yes, so they do the activity and they finish, and instead of click on comprobar mis respuestas, they go here to enviar mis respuestas a mi profesor. Yes, and they type their name. But for this, of course, you have to have your account. Yes, when you have your account, yes, I have my account, Glenda Gallardo Seul. So I go to, this is free. Yes, I go to mi buzón de correo, and I have all my students' work. Yes, here's all they have done. So I have also evidence of what they did. I can download this. Yes, so here's all the things they did. I think it's just for 3 months. After 3 months, then it disappears, right? But so far you can see all my students' work because I always use this. Yes, I use this a lot. So you can use this for pronunciation. Yes, not only for grammar or vocabulary, but pronunciation as well. And well, there are more, yes, but well, I don't have time to teach you all of those, but let me see, I will hurry up. I wish I had more time, but well, time is flying, so I need to fly as well. Okay, so that is live worksheets. You just put live worksheets, yes, and then you in the box for to find the word you want, you just type and you are very likely to find something for pronunciation. Oh, yes, I think that will be all. Yes. How much time have I got left, please? Yes, can you help me with that? Okay, well, with this, I will just go to the self-reflection. Yes, so something in today's workshop which will be useful in my work is, yes, so I hope that the ideas I gave you help you in your lessons. So what will be useful for you? Yes, so can you write in the comments, in YouTube, in your, I don't know, on Facebook, if you're watching this on Facebook. So what do you take from today's workshop? Yes, so what is your takeaway? Yes, we always have something to learn. There are so many things to learn, and I'm hoping you take something that you can use and adapt in your classes, right? Well, the references are here, yes, and well, I have mentioned this, and I also shared that in the chat box, yes, and yes, so in my agenda today, I had plans to talk about the do's and don'ts. So yes, we did it. The speaking activities that can be done in a virtual learning environment, the online resources for you and your learners. So thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thank you so much for your outstanding presentation. It was really lovely. Thank you for everything that you provide us, for the apps that you show us. All the teachers are really excited, saying thank you many times over here. And I have some questions for you, just from the audience. The questions that we have over here are, first of all, from Matias Cáceres Mayanga, who asks, is it okay to correct pronunciation during the speaking task?
As I said, it depends. Yes, it depends on the purpose of your activity. Yes, if your activity was designed in order to work on grammar, yes, in that case, yes. But if the purpose of my activity was just to give my students confidence and gain fluency, no. Yes, and normally, yes, according to Scott Thornbury, what teachers should aim at is at making their students feel confident. And that's why Scott Thornbury talks about giving delayed feedback and not cut the student in the middle of the idea when they are participating, right? Unless the purpose is grammar. So what is the purpose of your activity, I would ask. And depending on that, yes, you can do it.
Thank you so much. Here I have another question from Ms. Jessica Ramirez. She asks, if you're using Google Meet, which doesn't have the option, well, I think that she's talking about the free account, which doesn't have the option of breakout rooms. Do you have another option to have students talking in pairs in an online session?
Yes, in an online session, what they can do perhaps it's to use WhatsApp. Yes, well, hopefully they have WhatsApp. So if they have WhatsApp, they can record a message. Yes, and they, well, first of all, they need to add each other, yes, and to be friends, and then they can like record their conversation. Okay, so I say this, and then I reply this, and I reply this, and I reply this, and in that way they can practice. Yes, that's an idea, right? That's an idea. And now how to share it with you, that will be the tricky part. Yes, because they can do it. Yes, and maybe a way to share that, I'm not sure. They will have to download the speaking part, or I guess, well, we need to create this space, and I guess we have to trust that the time we give them, if I tell them you need to make, I mean, this will be the activity, it will be a conversation where you are the customer and the shop assistant, you need to maybe make a video. Yes, I know in class could be very, very challenging if you don't have the tools. So maybe the activity has to be left for homework, or if you have, it depends on the level, really. Yes, because for example, let me share my screen in a moment. Depending on the level and depending on the time you have, because first of all, the instructions have to be very, very, very clear. If the instructions are clear, yes, and they know what they have to do, then the activity is going to run smoothly. But I also understand, because of the level, that the students sometimes they need preparation time sometimes, because they don't have they are not confident, or they still don't have the language that they need to produce. So maybe, yes, for example, what I did the other day with my students, because one of my groups is, I have 31 students, and 31 is quite a lot. I can't listen to the 31, but what I did was I created my Google slides, as you can see. I gave them the instruction. Yes, I gave them the instruction, and they were sent to work in pairs. Here's the instruction, and they were speaking politely. It was a role play. Student A, you are the customer, you bought something, decide what, but there is a problem, decide what, explain the problem, and say what that you want a refund. Yes, student B, you are the sales assistant, ask for the receipt, explain that you cannot give the customer without the money. So I send them to this slide, to Google Slides, and they created their conversations. This was a group of 3, Luigi, Valeria, Silvia, and Ayrton. So they prepared what they were going to say. I didn't have time to listen to them, but I knew that my students needed, because in this group particularly, I have students that still struggle to put their ideas together. That's why I send them, okay, no, prepare your conversation. So the last 20 minutes of the class was to prepare this. So they prepare their conversations. Yes, here's another conversation, another conversation. It's the same instruction, and it's but different conversations. Yes, and they prepare their conversations. Yes, different, completely different. And the next class, what they did, and as I said, it depends on the level. This was very controlled. I asked them to read it, because maybe that's what they need at that moment. If they still don't have the language, I cannot pretend that, okay, now do it. But why don't you do it? But if they don't feel confident, how can they do it? So maybe what they need is first to start creating a dialogue, to start seeing how the ideas are put together, right? And then you can also give them feedback. And then maybe in a next activity, then they can do homework, yes? Or they can perhaps do it in front of a class. Yes, as I said, I did this, and then the following class, yes, they came to read their dialogues. Yes, and it was faster, and the dialogues were there. Of course, I always give them the time, and then when I give them the time, I also after that I closed the activity, yes? So now the conversation had to be done in the 20 minutes in the class. And after that, then all of them are lectores, right? So I changed this, lector, so they can't modify what they did, because it had to be done within my class, right? So now they can only read it. They can't modify anything. Yes, and I changed that. And then the following day was easier.
Thank you so much for sharing from your experience and from what you were doing in class. I also have here another question from me, Julissa Pasache Carvajal. She asks, how do you suggest to give feedback when you only teach by WhatsApp? Sometimes it is an immediate reply, so students probably will feel uncomfortable. But she says, well, as teachers, we just have to be feedback to be honest, but maybe it's too fast. So what do you think about it? Or what other things can we do?
Yes, as I said, okay, maybe, well, it would be ideal, yes, in an ideal world, it will be okay. I mean, it would be good that you gave the feedback individually, yes, to this person, this person, this person. And if that can't be done, or if you can do it and then you want to do something else, yes, what I do is, as I said, I record a general feedback for all the class. Yes, so you can record a very short audio, and in that audio you can tell them what you liked, if it was okay or not, and that you are well, let them know that you have already watched their homework, yes, and also well, congratulate them, but let them know what was good, if it was something very general, right, very, very general, and so that they know that you saw it. Yes, let me see if I can give you an example. Yes, for instance, this is a video I made for my English 6 group. Where is that here? Yes, this is a video that I made for my students to thank them.
Hello, good evening, dear students. I've made this video to talk about 3 things with you. First of all, English Language Day. The second thing is the online workbook. And the third thing is the PC1 part 4. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody for such beautiful, beautiful work, right? I am very, very happy with your creativity, very thankful for having taken the time to watch this, to repeat it, because I see, wow, they have, I mean, the main ideas have been expressed in different ways, and this requires time, dedication, and I can see that in this class. And I am very happy that that you are working so well. So congratulations on that. You know, I created a Wakelet. Yes, I decided to create a Wakelet to show my colleagues your work. Yes, because I said, no, this has to be seen by other teachers, because it is an example of what students can do and how they should work. So I made this Wakelet. You see Wakelet over here in the corner on the left. And so far, as you can see, there are 23 views. Yes, it's just for teachers, for a small group of teachers, just to give them an idea of what can be done with their students. Yes, and well, here's your work. Some people have given you likes, and I am very, very happy. And I will have this open a couple of days, yes, because now then we are going to change to May. Yes, and the celebration is over, but I said, no, this has to be seen by other teachers. Okay, so congratulations on this homework. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the online workbook. Yes, this is the online workbook. Can you see? Some of you have been asking me, but why have I got this grade in the workbook? Why? If you haven't got 100 and you said, but I did everything, maybe you haven't realized that the workbook, and this happens in every.
Well, this is an example, yes. That's an example of feedback. So I give feedback to my students through videos. I give them feedback with audio, yes. So that they know. So you see, they were asking me also about the workbook. Why do I have 0? Yes, okay, you have 0 because of this. And I was telling them, yes, because I tell them, yes, I started with the good things. The first piece of homework they had made, which was a poster. And then the second thing was not very good because they were like not completing the activities. And then again, the last thing well, if you keep watching this video, it's about the video they made. So the first one was the poster, then the workbook, which was not was very good. And the last one was the video they made. So I give them feedback like that. Yes, I try to vary it. Yes, written, through videos, through audio, and it's in general, it's for all the class. It's not just for an individual student, but as a group. So maybe that helps.
Yes, that is a lovely idea, and I really think that it is different. So they are also interested in what the teacher is going to say. Thank you so much. Yes, it's completely interesting. I want to invite you to stay with us for a little bit longer. Thanks again for these amazing presentations. All the teachers are really thankful. They are all saying thank you, it was excellent. There are many comments thanking all what you did for us tonight. And so please stay with us for a little bit longer. Now it's time for our next webinar presentation. So I'm going to call Miss Zulemita, who's going to talk about what it's coming for next week.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Okay, now thank you, dear Glenda Gallardo, for this amazing presentation. Well, I'd like to invite you to our next webinar next Saturday, October 16th at 5 p.m. This webinar will be presented by Martin Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez holds a master's degree on human talent management and has vast experience managing training programs nationwide for English teachers. In English specialists who participated in implementation of the Peruvian National Curriculum for Basic Education on 2018 and 2019, and created learning experiences resources for the Aprendo en Casa web strategy for the English area during the years of 2020 and 2021. The topic of this webinar is a surprise, but the topic is related with Minedu's exam. So teachers, don't forget, next Saturday at 5 p.m. We will be waiting for you.
That's right. So now we're going to need the help of teacher Gabriel Bayona so we can listen to the things.
Yeah, hello. Hello,
Hello.
Angela. Good evening. It's a pleasure to see you here, Glenda. It was a great webinar, and well, everybody. Yes, and everybody. Now we're gonna go to the exit ticket. Don't forget that it is HTTPS : CUTT.LY/ and the number 8, EIGHTH. One more time, just in case, TTTPS : CUTT.LY/ and number 8, AIGHTH. So this ticket will be activated as soon as we finish this webinar, and you've got 15 minutes in order to take it. So let's continue, Angela. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we have here, tenemos al equipo administrador. Estamos primero con Mariela, que es nuestra founder and head admin del equipo de English Teachers in Peru. Estoy yo por ahí también, está Teacher David, Miss Sulamita, Miss Oshin, Miss Catherine Novoa, Miss Diana, Miss Pamela, Miss Nefty Fortes, Mr. Kurt, Miss Miriam, Miss Maite, Miss Mayra, está Miss Julie, está Miss Daisy, Miss Julisa, Teacher Gabriel, está Miss... Ay, estoy yo ya. Que no veo. Está Miss Lilia, está Teacher José, está Miss Tavi, que nos está cuidando siempre desde el cielito, y está también Teacher Kevin como parte del equipo administrador. Todos nosotros estamos muy agradecidos de que nos hayan acompañado y estamos felices también de esperarlos la próxima semana, que se viene un súper webinar con un tema que se viene de misterio, pero que está súper interesante para todos nosotros. Y eso es todo por el día de hoy. Muchísimas gracias por habernos acompañado. Muchísimas gracias, Miss Glenda, por haber estado con nosotros el día de hoy. Y ahora les voy a pedir a mis compañeros que por favor enciendan sus camaritas para podernos despedir. A ver, ahí está Teacher Gabriel, ahí está Miss Sulamita, ahí está Teacher Gabriel, vamos a esperar un ratito, ahí está Miss Mayra, creo que todavía no puede encender su camarita, Miss Miriam, a veces el internet no nos colabora.
Internet, sí.
Sí, así es. Muchísimas gracias por todo lo realizado el día de hoy. Nos despedimos entonces, Miss Sulamita. Hasta luego. Teacher Gabriel, Miss Mayra, con Miss Glenda, muchísimas gracias. Nuevamente está Miss Miriam por ahí, que también se despide de nosotros. Está Teacher José, está Miss Mariela también por allí. Me despido yo también hasta la próxima semana, queridos teachers. Cuídense mucho.
Sí, cuídense mucho. Gracias. Feliz sábado.